So if somebody has to look about musculoskeletal wellness,
If you create a very, very healthy environment for yourselves, then what happens, and the one takeaway that everyone should understand, is that aging is now in your hands.
hello and welcome to the Aging Matters, a podcast by Betterhood where we explore how to live stronger, move better, and age well. I'm your host Vikram, co-founder of Betterhood. At Betterhood, we believe that your hustle should be on your own terms. Physical pain should not come in the way. That means being in control of how you age. In this series, we are going to explore the strategies and science behind musculoskeletal longevity, not just how long you live, but how well you live as you age. With me, we have Shayamal Vallabhjee, a renowned sports scientist and performance coach, who will help us reframe aging, not as a gradual decline, but as a daily choice wherein we can reshape how we grow, how we live. Let's begin with that. Shayamal, so hello and welcome.
Thank you so much, Vikram. I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of the Aging Matters podcast.
Yeah. So, Shayamal, let's start with a broader picture. How would you define aging in a biological sense, and what is our understanding of aging and how has it evolved over time?
That's a very, very great question and a great place for us to start. So, from a biological sense, aging is the cellular degeneration that occurs in the body. And cellular will look at the degeneration of bone, of tendon, of muscle. You can look at it from a broader sense and look at cognitive even degeneration that happens. We know that after a certain age, could be 25, 26, a level of degeneration happens. Okay. So previously, we thought of aging as something that's completely inevitable and there's nothing we can do. After a certain age, you would have to restrict certain movement, make certain lifestyle choices, and it's just a sliding scale from there. What we've learned from a biological and physiological sense is that there is plasticity in our cells, which means that our cells respond to the environment. So if you create a very, very healthy environment for your cells, then what happens is you can slow down that aging process to the point where you're not impacted by disease or any other chronic pain as such. So the biggest shift in aging over the last 2 to 3 decades is our understanding of the level of plasticity that exists in our tissues. And it's been evolving to the sense where we thought, for example, elasticity only exists in muscle tissue. We've evolved to understand that the fascia, for example, that sits above tissue has the same neurobiological and physiological properties that the tissue itself has. We've also seen from a health point of view, we've seen the discovery of stem cells, which kind of metamorphosize into different types of cells and grow. So the most positive thing about aging, and the one takeaway that everyone should understand, is that aging is now in your hands. And every single choice we make will impact how quickly we age, or if aging will have any impact on the quality of our life as we move forward.
Interesting. So now we have some control over aging. And I have heard you saying before that it's more important to sort of go about this from a preventive angle than a curative angle. So how would you talk about that shift from preventive to curative in the aging context?
I think everything should be looked at from a preventative context. And right up off the bat, I sometimes get a little controversial when I say this, but I say modern medicine, everything that modern medicine teaches is from a curative standpoint. It starts from a point of diagnosis. You go to a doctor when you're in pain or when there's disease, they diagnose it, and then they're healing from there. Right? Very few specialists exist in the world or fields of medicine that prevent you from getting pain or prevent you from getting. Naturopathy and the relationship between food and your body, for example, is just one field of science that's very preventative. What was very interesting was that, someone once told me a story, Vikram. They said in ancient China, you didn't pay a doctor when you got sick. You paid a doctor every single month to prevent you from getting sick.
A retainer.
Yeah, he was on retainer to prevent you from getting sick. And that should be the foundation of our thought process.
Yeah.
The foundation of our thought process is not how do we correct something after it happens, it's how do we make sure we never get there. Okay? That's that entire preventative mindset. So when you look at curative versus preventative, the word that must slip in between is mindset. Both are a mindset. A mindset is I will ignore my lifestyle and my choices, and if something comes up, then I'll go to a doctor or pop a pill. Or it's a mindset that I will make choices every single day around the quality of my sleep, the quality of my movement, the quality of my nutrition, even the quality of the people I spend time with who would encourage me in a positive way so that I never ever get sick. Everything comes down to mindset. Everything comes down to choice. And this, once again, like I said, is entirely up to the person. And this is where your power is. You know, as a psychologist, I tell people the power that you have and the power that you relinquish are in the choices that you make. This is so fundamentally important.
Right. So the examples that you are given wherein somebody is sort of reaching to the expert. So there could be two objectives, right? One could be increase the life, or it could be whatever life I have, so have the best health possible. So in the context of longevity, there are two concepts. One is health span and one is lifespan. So and people often confuse between these two. So could you help us sort of differentiate between these two?
Yeah, so lifespan is life expectancy. And because of interventions like vaccines and new medical technologies, we've seen life expectancy increase. Okay. So average, I think right now in certain countries it's 73, in some countries it's 79. Japan, for example, has the highest population of people that are super centurions that go above 100. So life expectancy is the average age of a population that they would live up to.
Right.
Health span, as you call it, is how many of those years are you able to be vital and energetic and be able to conduct your life in the way you want to. Right. Now, across all the data, across all the countries, what we're seeing is 9.6 years as the difference between health span and lifespan, which means that if someone's life expectancy is 73, we're seeing that up until 63, they're able to do whatever they want to. And the last 9.6 or decade of their life, they really are in some shape of chronic pain, managing disease. This is traditionally what we're seeing globally across. This is the differentiation between the two. And with certain lifestyle choices, with certain medical interventions, with the way the world is moving towards embracing recovery, for example, right, we're seeing those 9.6 years shrink and shrink and shrink. Previously, all of our attention was moving towards increasing life expectancy. Now, it's not so much about increasing life expectancy, it's about increasing the health span. Because when you increase the health span, the life expectancy would increase in itself. Mm-hmm. But just increasing your life expectancy doesn't mean that the vitality of those years will improve. Right. But if we try to improve the vitality of those years, this gets pushed. So we were looking at both things historically, but we are looking in the wrong place. And science has shown us now how to shift our lens. If we look in the right place, the other one just becomes a reciprocal effect of it.
Right. So what matters is the better health span, the longer health span. And I think it has something to do with the quality of life.
Correct.
What it is said that the quality of life is largely dependent on your musculoskeletal wellness. Could you elaborate on this particular thing?
So yeah, musculoskeletal wellness for everyone listening is how vital and how healthy and how strong your body is. Okay, that's your tissues, your bones, your tendons. All of this is critically important. Why is it important? Because this is our vehicle. This is the vehicle for you to do anything. Anything that you want to do in life. You want to be the founder of a company. You want to travel outside of the planet to Mars. You want to live a very, very luxurious life and travel different countries. Whatever you want, the same body is going to be the vehicle for it all. So that's why we say musculoskeletal health is critically important. The other reason why we say it is that if this body is in pain, it's virtually impossible for you to do anything, right? If you want to build a company that's a unicorn, you're going to be in that journey for 10, 15, 20 years before it achieves that. The first question is, what am I doing to ensure that my body can be pain-free for 20 years?
Right.
Because I will need that amount of time to build a unicorn.
Right.
So we default everything to musculoskeletal health because it's a clinical awareness of how important this vehicle is for us to achieve any single thing that we want in there.
Right.
And that's why we focus predominantly on this.
Right. So, yeah, as in what you're saying is if we have to do something in life, we have to be mobile, we have to be on your feet, active, productive, and all of that is largely related to your musculoskeletal wellness. So that's very interesting point. So if somebody has to look about musculoskeletal wellness, is there any framework that you could suggest? As in what contributes to a right musculoskeletal wellness?
So there are a few things. One is posture is the main one that we look at. So what is your posture like? Because so much gets impacted by incorrect posture. And every time you're moving, see, every single one of us would have a dominant hand and a dominant leg, a dominant eye, which most people aren't even aware of, right? And with dominance comes a certain degree of strength deficit on that side versus the other. Now, we are one body. So if you can imagine that the strength deficit are the pulling and pushing forces that exist through muscles. If one is exerting more force, then it's moving something disproportionately in that direction. So that means that your alignment is moving off. So how do we think about posture is we think about the relationships our muscles have on our bone and our structure to maintain us in balance. We accommodate for a certain degree of imbalance. But if that certain degree is disproportionate, you start to get postural problems. You could get kyphosis, which is arching of the spine. Most people will get pelvic tilt, which will create chronic lower back pain, may even create a lot of irritable bowel and digestion problems depending on it. There's simple things that good osteopaths and physios would do to constantly bring the body into alignment. Some of these postural defects people are born with, and we can use strength training exercises to manage the chronic pain that happens from there. So the first one is really and truly posture. The second one is your exercise, the quality of your movement. Right? The quality of your movement is critically important. Okay. Now, there are different types of movement patterns that exist or movement elements: cardiovascular, strength, endurance, flexibility, all of these things, proprioception, each have a different impact on your cellular tissue, and each will bring back a different thing. So based on the person, based on the quality of life they want to do, what they want to do, we structure and design programs. But fundamentally, exercise is critically important. The third one is probably the most neglected of all, which is recovery science. When people tell me, or when I speak to them, most people don't even accommodate recovery into their program. All of my corporate executives or everyone who's working an 8-to-5 job, if you ask them, how much do you train? They say, I get to the gym 5 times a week, hour and a half. I said, okay, how much time do you dedicate for massage, for infrared, for all of your recovery modalities? Ice plunges, swimming, whatever. Zero. So I tell a person that when you are trying to design a program for yourself, the question is not how much time do I have to exercise. The question is how much time do I have to recover? And on the basis of recovery, we then attribute the number of hours that you should push your body, because these balance and counterbalance each other. So recovery science is now becoming the frontal lens by which we look at everything. It's absolutely important. Everybody wants to exercise, everybody wants to move, but people forget that your tissues are experiencing significant load every time you exercise. And that load we need to help it dissipate that load. We need to help it recover. Also, the other interesting thing that people don't know about muscle tissue or any musculoskeletal tissue is that it has a memory. Right? So if you keep training without recovery, the memory starts to shift towards fatigue. And that's why if you did something for an hour and a half before getting tired, you'll notice that you'll start to get tired earlier and earlier and earlier, because the memory in that tissue is now fatigue, even though the strength is going up. So how do we recalibrate the memory of tissue is critically important. And then the fourth aspect is the fueling of the body, which is the nutrition. Okay. Now, that's taken front and center. It's taking precedence in a lot of people's mind. They're very, very mindful of what they eat, and this is good because that's the fuel. We can even take this to a completely different level by starting to engineer our food in relation to our genetics, because you're not a byproduct of what you eat, you're a byproduct of what your body digests.
Correct.
And that is your gut microbiome, that is your genetics. So once people start to become aware, once they bring about this mindset shift that this is the life that I want to live, then it makes sense making investments with respect to this data so that we can make informed decisions. But these are the four fundamental pillars that will impact the quality of your musculoskeletal health and keep you alive, well, and vital.
Yeah. So 4 pillars to the framework: posture, recovery, fitness, and nutrition.
Correct.
Very well. So we are at the end of this particular segment, Shayamal, and if there are our viewers in 30s and 40s, if they're watching this, what is one thing that you would like them to know about aging?
I think the one thing that is critically important to understand about aging is that the fastest way to decelerate aging process is with movement. Okay, but our brain has a tendency, because most of the people listening to this podcast are type A personalities. Type A means we're pushing the goal. So, which means that you are only going to be motivated if you can get to the gym for an hour, or if you can run a half marathon or run a marathon. Your brain is highly invested in setting a very, very big goal. The problem with big goals is we would not find the time, or we'd hardly achieve it. With respect to really shifting your health from an aging point of view, is don't start with the highest bar, start with the lowest bar. Like, for example, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I would do is I would do just 25 push-ups, and then I do 25 sit-ups and 25 squats. This total exercise won't take me more than 2 minutes to do, literally. But that is my floor. So irrespective of where I am in the world, right, if I do nothing, these 75 would be done. Okay. So my advice to everyone is, don't try to push the ceiling. Try to raise the floor. Start with as little as possible. It should be so easy that you have absolutely no excuse to not do it. And from there, we can start stacking things towards better health, better longevity, better musculoskeletal health.
Thanks, Shayamal. So, aging wellness is a choice, and it's never too late to start on the journey. In the next episode, we'll talk about posture, which is the foundation of aging wellness. So, stay tuned.